Us now is Tennessee Congressman and member of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, Tim Burchett. Sir, good morning to you. You have two of your proposed rules that require an accurate title that represents the bill and public costs for each bill. Why are these two in particular important for voters to know about?
Well, the public doesn't trust us, first of all, and for good reason. Allison, you know, these things are just common sense things. I just want to make sure that the public understands that you know, when we put a bill forward, that it does what it says it's going to do. We have a dog catcher's bill, and then all of a sudden there's a big pay raise, or somebody's getting a new port or a new stadium or something out of the deal. And I just don't think that's legit. And the public doesn't agree with it either. And I think we ought to know what we're paying for this stuff. Our inflation last month was at 7.7%. We got a national debt of over $31 trillion. That public has had enough, and they know it, and their dissatisfaction with us is well warranted.
So was the Inflation Reduction Act the last straw for you? Because I know that a lot of Republicans call this the Inflation Enhancement Act. If this bill does pass, could we see a lot more bills called H.R. 1067? Absolutely.
I think they're just, you know, we have what's called truth in sentencing. We ought to have truth in legislating. And that's really what's behind all this. I think it just makes common sense for the public to when they see a bill. You know, I get calls all the time and they say, well, why didn't you vote for the
Give Americans More Money bill?
Yeah, the bill, Milk for Birthing Mothers bill or something,
right,
you know.
Right.
And I say, well, because about 1% of it dealt with that. It's like our transportation bill. 15% of it basically dealt with traditional transportation. About 85% was a bunch of woke garbage. We spent over $1 trillion on that bill. And yet, you know, everybody say, well, you didn't vote to fix my potholes. Well, I also didn't vote to put a windmill in your backyard either.
Yeah, but
right.
Congressman,
that's just full of garbage.
Has that changed recently? Because there's always some pork stuffed into big bills. Let's say there's a district or a post office in your district that you want to name after a local veteran or something like that. That stuff's really common. But it seems like the last 10, 15 years, the stuff they're trying to sneak into these bills is totally ridiculous.
Yeah, 100%. You're exactly right. They just, and that's why leadership wants it. And I would like to get it done before we get in power so that we can show the world the Republican Party is better than this. And if we do that and show the public, I think there'll be a turnaround in approval. But, you know, I get the same thing from the old timers, both sides of the aisle. They say, Burchett, we're going to be here all night if we do this. I said, well, dadgummit, we're paid more than the average citizen is. Nobody held a gun to your head and made you run for office.
Great
if you
point.
didn't want to work, you shouldn't have hired on.
Great point. Sir, you also introduced a bill to improve protections for veterans against mail fraud. Talk to us about why this is so important, you know, for you to set this precedence for Congress.
Well, my daddy fought for this country in the Pacific. Heck, my mama lost a brother during the Second World War. She flew an airplane during the war. And I've noticed that a lot of these dirt bags will target our veterans. And this just adds an enhancement on their sentence. And if you pop one or two of them, the word's going to get out. They need to move on and not pick on our veterans. And I feel like that they do these bills. I mean, not these bills. They do these telemarketing things, and they target our veterans. And and maybe they're older, maybe they're more vulnerable to this type of activity. And it just disgusts me beyond belief. And this is the kind of thing we ought to be looking at instead of some of this other woke garbage. But it's hard to get it through this Democrat-controlled Congress, oddly enough.
Yeah. Congressman, the Republicans, this is somewhat bipartisan right now, are reportedly close to striking a deal to end the COVID vaccine mandate for military service members. The bill could be part of the National Defense Authorization Act. The White House, not shockingly, but I guess I was surprised, they are still opposed to ending these vaccine mandates. Why do you think that is?
I'm not sure if it's 10% for the big guy or what it is actually at this point, because it's obviously we've lost large segments of our military. It's kind of not even been talked about. It's been hushed up. But the reality is we've lost folks. Recruiting's down 25%, I believe, right now, and our military preparedness needs to be at top notch, especially with all the things going on in the world right now, and it is not. and it is due to the fact that we have demoralized our troops and said they have to get an unproven and an untested vaccine. And you know, it's just amazing to me that the Democrat Party can be so pig-headed and so anti-military that they would push something like this.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense, especially with the recruitment problems that we continue to see. Tennessee Congressman Tim Burchett, thank you so much for your time. We like the beard that you're growing.
Thank you.
Thank
you. The wife, you know, Kelly says it, so I do it. We had a trade-off. I said, I don't wear pink shirts, and I get to keep wearing boxer shorts. And she said, of course, baby. So I'm there. And also, I noticed that my buddy Greg Murphy's coming on. You get the looks in this department, then you get the brains after that for him. So
we'll tell him you said so, sir.
Always listen to your wife. You're a very smart man, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Thank y'all.
Good to see you,
Merry
Congressman.
Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
You too.